Good night of Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos, Parshas Achrei Mos, Erev Shabbos, Shlishul Shabbos. The laws of Yom Kippur are introduced with the introduction of Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe Achrei Mos Shnei Bnei Aaron after the death of the children of Aaron. One has to wonder why it was necessary to introduce all of this with the death of Aaron, the death of Aaron's children. It was still fresh in Aaron's mind. It was 6 months prior to this. So why was it necessary to say that this is to remind him of the death of his children? So Ma Talmud Lomar. So Rashi himself asks the question, and he says, "What's this doing? What's it teaching us?" So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Moshel Mashal. So Elazar ben Azariah would give a mashal, give an example. He says it was like to a chola, to a sick person that goes to the rofe, and the rofe says to him, "Don't eat this kind of food. Don't eat that kind of food." So Bo'ach Amalo, another person comes to him and tells him, another doctor comes to him and tells him that don't eat this, don't do this. Shelo Tomus Kederach Shemes Poni, that you won't die like that person died. So the second doctor was much better than the first doctor, because the second doctor told him what the consequences were. Don't do it so you don't die. And therefore, that's why we begin this instruction of going into the Holy of Holies to tell him Achrei Mos Shnei Bnei Aaron, to remind him of what happened to his children when they went in an unauthorized kind of way into the Holy of Holies. Question, of course, is that why are we likening this command of Hashem's to that of a doctor? Normally, a metaphor that we would use, an example that we would use, would be something of a king. Hashem makes rules. We have to follow the rules. And therefore, this is more like the king said, do this so you don't die, rather than likening it to a doctor. So I'll tell you that there's a difference between what a doctor tells you to do and what a king tells you to do. A doctor, a king who tells you to do something, if you don't listen to him, he punishes you. A doctor is only giving you advice. There's no punishment from the doctor. The consequences are such that if you don't follow the advice of the doctor, you're going to end up dying. A king's commandment is about himself and what he wants from you. A doctor's commandment is not about himself. It's about what he wants you to accomplish and you to be able to achieve. When a doctor tells a person that they shouldn't smoke or they're going to die, so the dying isn't the consequence of not listening of not listening to the doctor. It's a consequence of hurting yourself. It's a consequence of doing something that's harmful to yourself. When a king tells you not to do something or you're going to die, the death is a consequence of you not listening to the command of the king. It's the same kind of thing when a father tells his son that, listen, don't go into the street. It's dangerous. The kid goes into the street and the father gets mad. And he yells at the kid. But his anger is not because he's insulted, shouldn't be because he's insulted that the kid didn't listen to me. But his anger should be because the kid did something that was careless and something that was harmful to himself. That's why Hashem said that don't go in whenever you want into the Holy of Holies, so that you won't die. Not because it's an affront to Hashem, but because it's no good for you. Like when a doctor tells a patient, don't do this lest you die, because it's not going to be good for you. It's something that's harmful to you. I think what comes out of this is something incredible, that Hashem cares about us. And the mitzvot that he gives us are not about Hashem. It's not about the way he wants the world to run. It's about the best way for us to be able to exist inside of his world. And all of the mitzvot and all of the things that seem to be restrictions are all in place for our own well-being. Hashem is like a doctor, because all he wants is what's good for us. And when he lists consequences in the Torah, it's not because he's going to be punitive and he's going to destroy you, but because you're going to destroy yourself. because this is the way for you to maximize your life, maximize your enjoyment and your pleasure in life. Shabbos isn't something that puts a restriction on us. Shabbos is something that ennobles us, something that enables us, something that allows us to be able to maximize our existence. Every one of those commandments in the Torah needs to be seen as this is the best way to live. It's not the price we have to pay to play the game of life. It's not the price we have to pay in order to remain alive, but that when we follow these rules, when we follow this Torah, when we adhere to the Torah, this is the best way to exist. I think it's a game changer. I think when you come to that realization that the reason why I'm doing this is not because this way I'm going to avert punishment, or I'm following the will of Hashem. No, what I'm doing is I'm following the will of Hashem because He wants what's best for me. It's not that even though this is not really, I don't love this, but I'm doing this because He wants me to. No, I need to look at it and to say, I need to love this because at the end of the day, this is what is best for me. Learning Torah, doing mitzvahs, doing chesed. These are not just nice things or good things to do. This is the best way for a human being to exist. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu reminded Aaron warned him that don't mess around with this because I don't want you to die like your children died. It wasn't to rub his face in anything, but to remind him that the reason that I've given you all of this is because this is the best way to live. And when you live this way, so then that's when you receive all the brachas, that's when you receive all the pleasure, that's when you receive all the beauty. Have a beautiful, amazing, awesome, and wonderful Shabbos.